Hello and welcome to my second devlog of my indie game Pantan. Before I start talking about the systems and fixes I've made, let me first give a small glimpse at the story. I'll give more details every time I make another devlog. Enjoy. You will be playing as Piotr, the son of a lone wanderer and a deadly sea creature, on his adventurous journey to the edge of the world. On his journey, Piotr will face the elements and many dangerous creatures, amongst which are his own brethren, the Noturni, who actively seek his demise. Regardless of that, he is the only one of his kind and cannot be killed by them, and neither can he kill them. His journey is one with little hope, for he seeks to rid the world of his dark brethren once and for all. But how could he destroy something he cannot kill? He will have to travel through fields, deserts, mud, and snow. Many obstacles may stand in his way, but he is not alone. Piotr's umbrella deserves a title of a character, rather than an item, because it plays a crucial role. This loyal companion is both a sword and a shield. He enables Piotr to fly with the wind and flow with the stream, thus proves to be a worthy ally on his seemingly hopeless journey. Now, I can start mentioning the stuff I made in the past 8 days. I've created a simple camera system that's common for third-person games. I was skeptical due to the fact that the game is in an orthographic perspective, but nevertheless it ended up being extremely smooth and nice to look at. I just had to create a small limit to the speed so that someone doesn't become dizzy due to a fast 360 rotation of an orthographic camera. I've taken my time to fix some of the issues my controller had, and I've fixed some minor glitches. Since I've already talked about the smooth movement in the past episode, I wanted to improve on the system. The character now leans towards the direction he is moving towards, which yields extremely smooth animations and transitions. It made the movement feel a lot more immersive. I've even upgraded the IK system so that the feet of the character follow the angle and height of the slopes and stairs he is moving on. The parachute mechanic of the umbrella has gotten a huge rework. Strafing is now possible while slowly gliding towards the ground. A fellow Unity 3D subreddit user gave me the idea to add a drop shadow because of the orthographic camera perspective, since it's really hard to tell how high the character is without one. After realizing the greatness of his idea, I quickly implemented a simple drop shadow. Later that day, a very nice person made a comment on YouTube about an air cushion effect just before the umbrella starts slowing your descent. I already had that idea in mind, even though it was simply aesthetic, but since someone already showed interest, I decided to implement it right away, and I'm glad I did since it looks absolutely amazing. After changing the umbrella mechanic, I realized there was something wrong with the movement. After transitioning from the parachute movement to normal ground movement, the character would easily continue in the direction he was facing, so I implemented a little slide mechanic. It can be stopped with player input, but in certain scenarios it makes the character slide and move along a curved path, which looks very smooth and adds to the vibe of the game. Since I've implemented a slide mechanic where you can use the wind to slide across the map with high speeds, I did the same thing with that mechanic. Before I start talking about the slide mechanic, I would first like to show you how the wind works. I've decided to create a 3D vector flow field to represent wind. It's still a prototype and requires a lot of work, but even as it is right now, it works really well. Wind can now change direction, even in the Y direction, which makes it possible to float with your umbrella or even start ascending if the wind is strong enough. This is a representation of the wind in the game. The empty spots are simply places where the wind has a default value. The in-game wind field has a much larger resolution, but I had to lower it while recording due to the huge amount of gizmos I had to display on screen. Sliding works in a similar way to using your umbrella to float. You open your umbrella, and if there is wind at your location, you will slowly start accelerating. You have a little bit of control, but most of the movement is governed by the wind direction and magnitude. Even though it's very limited by player input, it feels extremely smooth and was really fun to play with while testing. This specific example is a place where the wind is at an angle relative to the ground and the magnitude is just large enough for the character to be able to float at one spot forever. The opposite can happen as well. If the wind is flowing towards the ground, it will aid your descent. Since I fixed a lot of stuff with my character controller, I noticed that it could be used in movement puzzles without any tweaks whatsoever, so I've created a simple, maybe a bit ugly, movement puzzle to display the possibilities of the current character controller. As long as the objects are moving in the fixed update loop in which physics in Unity is calculated, the controller has no issue whatsoever. During these 8 days I've working on the terrain system for quite a bit and ended up with a system where I can change the terrains during runtime, and I was really satisfied with the system, but while I was recording this devlog I had an idea how to make the system even better. The newer version of the system changes terrains by blending through them. It pretty much transitions from one terrain type with different physics to another one seamlessly. This system was the reason I ended up making the devlog a day later than I had planned, and I'm glad I did it this way. Including a few optimizations and minor bug fixes I made that are not really worth mentioning, I would quickly just like to mention some changes I made to the outlines and shadows. The outlines are now a lot more compact and easier to control. I've created a simple system that handles all shadows at once. This way I can change only a single color and affect all shadows in the scene, and I can even change them during runtime. It wasn't a hard task, but it allows me to waste less time on shadows and picking colors for different shaders. That's it for this devlog. It was a bit long, but I was very productive these past 8 days. I'm going to create a Discord at one point where I will share content more frequently. Like and subscribe if you like my content and want to see more, and please don't hesitate to comment if you have ideas or any kind of critique that may help me build a better game for everyone to enjoy. Cheers.